when we launched Superdry Sport, we had really nice celebrities in Superdry, including we had Taylor Swift, we had Miley Cyrus. Sun damage is the biggest aging factor for every skin. You also
support students who are women in terms of building them globally in the sports network. What do you guys do? What's your mindset about what are the physical injuries that can happen during sports and how people can cure it? Hi, if you're a dog lover, if you're someone who's building a brand or someone who is into the entrepreneurship journey, today's podcast is just for you because the very special guest from UK, Miss Sarah, was here and we talked about Superdry, the brand she has worked with, and currently she's working with the university Hartpury, which is based in UK and is a marvelous university to study in. So she shared insights about how you can train your dogs, how someone can build a brand globally, and more about the entrepreneurship journey. So stay tuned and hear it out. Hi, Sarah.
hello.
It's a pleasure to have you here today. And just want to know, before we start this podcast, we want to know who Sarah is and what's the life story and what you have done in your life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm based in the UK.
Okay.
And my big hobbies and passions is being outside, being out and about, doing adventure. So I have a lot of hobbies that involve that. That includes having 5 pet dogs, which is amazing. And I do little hobbies with them, such as I go running with them. I do something called dog agility with them.
Okay.
I also do horse riding as well. So I like to be outside in the country doing horse riding. I do running. I do cycling outside as well. So I'm a very outdoorsy person.
Yeah. So that's how, Sarah is one of the sports loving person, I would say. Yeah. And who loves dogs and is enthusiastic about marketing, I guess. Yeah. So before joining Hartpury, what was your life earlier? Which company you worked on and what was your earlier career path looks like?
So I've always been into marketing. Went to university, did marketing, and that kind of where my passion was. And then one of my first jobs was working at Hartpury University, where I really got the bug for international marketing. So what I love is understanding different markets, different cultures, how to adapt your marketing, your messaging, your tone of voice to your different cultures. So I absolutely love that. And really got the bug. So since then I worked at Hartpury University, so I did digital marketing there for the international team. I then moved on to a clothing brand called Superdry.
Superdry, yeah.
Yes, so
it's in India.
It is definitely in India. So my job at Superdry was the international marketing manager. So I work with all our franchise partners, about 30 different franchise partners globally, and I work with them on building the brand of Superdry out in their markets, and then also feeding that information back to Superdry to expand and create marketing content that's relevant for each market.
Right. So because you have worked at Superdry, and Superdry is a really big name in the clothing section when I talk about the Indian market. So when you were at Superdry, how did you plan the marketing for the international thing and how it grew up in India and the other international markets? Can you just tell us about that once?
So the big thing, I think what's really strong about Superdry, it has a really strong brand identity.
Yeah.
You see people walk down the street and you see Superdry.
Yeah.
And everyone recognises that brand. So it's really about understanding that brand and getting people to connect to it. Their ethos was very young, relevant, maverick. Yeah. So we wanted to be out there, creative. So we did loads of stuff in India and all across different international markets, which made us just a little bit different, whether we use influencers or we really want to use really cool influencers, 18 to 25-year-olds who really sold the brand, or whether we did kind of events. I think when we launched the brand in India, we branded some cars with Superdry and had them drive around. That was quite a few years ago. So we also just try and think think of things that are different, but also relevant for the market as well, which is one thing I really worked with our India team on, because Superdry did have very, very heavy winter wear, and how could we make all our brands, our winter seasonal brand, right for Indian market, where actually you won't need a big puffer jacket or a scarf. It was more light wear. So we actually took a lot of learning from each market and brought it back to how we did marketing centrally.
Superdry is a brand from UK or from some other country? Is it based in UK?
It's 100% from the UK. It's actually from a town called Cheltenham. So Cheltenham is based in Gloucestershire, where actually Hartpury University is based. So yes, it's very close to us. And what it was, I think Superdry was inspired from a trip. So there was two founders, and they went out to a trip to Japan. And they were drinking in a bar in Japan, and they did a big shopping trip because Japan had really cool clothing, and they really wanted to take that inspiration from their clothing. And then they came up with a brand name there in Japan, in a bar in Japan, and that's how it was kind of created.
So how does that name relevant to a brand of clothing, Superdry? What's the story behind the name? Is there any story, or there's no story behind this?
No, I don't think there's much of a story. It's more of a, they thought it was a really strong, independent name. And then you see the characters on top as well of the Superdry brand, and in Japanese and Chinese, literally translate to Superdry.
Yes, I've seen that,
So yes, it's just a very strong identity that they went for, something that sounded a bit different.
Your experience being into, building clothing brand internationally, what is the advice that you will give to the entrepreneurs who are trying to build something in the space of fashion or beauty or any other segment? How to build a brand?
I would say understand your audience. Really understand who your audience are, really identify who they are. You can't do one thing for everyone. You need to understand who they are, what they want, really kind of get their profile for them. Secondly, I would say is definitely get a strong brand identity, something that you would be recognised for, and I'm not saying like what your brand logo is, but actually what you stand for and who you are, and really understand that and make sure that is communicated throughout everything you do. What you don't want to do is give mixed messages, like something that maybe seems cool at the time. Don't try and do something if it's not your brand. You really have to understand your brand, understand your audience, and be authentic to that.
And while building an international audience, how does that matters? How do you brand yourself in the messaging tone? It changes from one country to another, or it stays same throughout every culture that we get into?
You have to tweak certain elements of a brand. I think the easiest way to describe is if I was looking at, say, Superdry or a clothing brand. If you have to think about your markets, you have to think about your kind of Western market, European market, and actually think, okay, that's where you get multiple seasons throughout the year. So you're looking at high summer, you're looking at winter, where there'll be drastic difference in kind of weathers. And then you have to think about, okay, so when we're in winter, we really want to sell the really heavy coats, the really strong scarf. But actually then you come to Asia or warmer climates, and actually you don't need that really. You need kind of keep the brand identity, but actually kind of those light wears. So have a jacket on essentially for your shoots. But then you have a look at the Middle East. You have to be very careful in the Middle East, because you have to have women kind of covering certain areas of the body, especially during summer. If we're selling crop tops, you have to think actually how would you wear that crop top in this market, and whether you would layer it essentially. Or and you just have to kind of think about those different nuances about which markets, where they are in their weather, what are they talking about as well, and kind of keep that brand relevant at the same time. You have to understand certain things, like if you want to be maverick in a market, some things are quite cool compared to other markets. Not everything works the same. I think one thing we did looked at was doing an ice cream truck. And it was like random acts of kindness, had ice cream truck giving out ice cream. But actually, if you look at kind of Asia markets, we couldn't really do it because of the weather, because actually dairy, there's quite a few people with dairy intolerance. So and ice cream isn't that thing that would be going out as much. So we had to look at something else as that random act of kindness that is equivalent. such as boba.
A lot of brands I have seen, they have a different strategy when they are doing a campaign. So, any campaign that you remember of Superdry that went viral or built something like a targeted audience and went viral among the influencers? Some of your references that you have from Superdry.
So a couple of things we've done, I think that were really successful. And I said I haven't worked there for a while, so we are looking back at way back when.
Yeah.
So we did a campaign when we launched our Superdry Sports campaign. This is when influencer marketing was kind of kicking off. You started having agencies do influencer marketing, but it wasn't as well known as it is now, where everyone's like, oh, everyone does it now.
Right.
So when we launched Superdry Sport, we had some really nice celebrities in Superdry, including we had Taylor Swift, we had Miley Cyrus, we had one of the Kardashian Jenners.
Yeah, Kardashians and
Kylie. Kylie was in it.
Yeah.
Took me a while there. And Kayla Itzness, who's also an Australian fashion inspiration. We had quite a few that came into it, and it was just really nice because it was very, I would say, even though we gifted them, it was very organic. They liked the clothes and they wanted to wear them, and they're happy to share that on social media.
Right. So
it was all really very, influence marketing was very organic. The time you gifted and they wore it, rather, you pay a lot of money.
Right.
So that was really nice. We also did another campaign called Superdry Sounds, which we did across globe, and actually just hosted loads of different festivals.
Okay.
So we really wanted to support upcoming music talent.
Okay.
So when we had a big festival, we would sponsor one of the upcoming artist tents. And have upcoming artists kind of wear Superdry clothing as part of the campaign shoot look and feel.
Okay.
But then also we went to loads of different festivals, kind of connect with students, connect with the audience for 18 to 25-year-olds for Superdry. So it was very nice because we had lots of online content in regards to, we had the artists, we had all the footage from all the different festivals. We were giving away tickets, but then you also had that on the ground support as well, where we were doing a personalised tea station where people can get personalised tea. So people had something more, can get their hands on, can touch a brand, can feel the brand, can experience the brand in person as well as online. So it was really strong in that level.
Superdry comes in a luxury segment, I would say, or it's a mid-luxury premium segment. It's a mid-luxury premium. What's your take on it? Because as a consumer, I see it as a premium brand.
Yeah.
But what about as a brand? Is it a premium or a luxury segment?
I think it depends on the market and where you sit. It's, I would say in the UK, it sits between high street and premium.
Okay.
In regards to, it's not fast fashion. They use very good quality materials, and they do design to high spec, but it isn't what would you say, premium to luxury, where it's very designer and not achievable, not affordable. So
that's how it is.
Yeah.
You also told about, now that you're at Hartpury, I just want to know more about Hartpury because I've seen the campus. It looks beautiful. The sports facilities, the way they have, done the sports equipments and everything, the setup for students. Just let us know more about Hartpury now.
Well, I think it's, to be honest, I like to, in regards to me and my personal, what I like to work for, I like to be passionate what I do.
Yeah.
So I'm very passionate about Superdry when I work there, as you hopefully can tell.
Yeah.
And Hartpury is the same. So Hartpury is one of those places where they are very, very passionate, and it's like a family. What they do and what they're interested in is what they want to go to as a career.
Okay.
So in regards to Hartpury, there's kind of 4 different areas of study. So you have got agriculture, you've got equine, which is horses, you've got animals, and then you've got sport.
Okay.
And we've also got business as well on that.
Right.
But in regards to those areas, it is everyone who studies their area is so passionate. So it's the only university that I've ever been to where you're there at 7 o'clock in the morning and all the students are up.
Okay.
Because they're doing their passions, their hobbies. So equine students will be going tending to horses in the morning and riding their horses before their lectures start. our rugby and football teams are doing training at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
They're out in the fields training or hitting the gym before, once again, their lectures start. Agriculture, they're out kind of seeing to, because we've got livestock on the farm, and they're out seeing the livestock, all kind of setting up early in the morning to kind of get that practical farming underway.
Right.
So it's one of those campuses where it's, from the moment like the sun hits, it is buzzing, and people are very, very passionate about what they do, and that's what I really, really like about it. So in regards to what we teach, in all our areas, we get a very high level of teaching. We've got TEF Gold. Okay. In regards to our facilities, we have got outstanding facilities. And what we do is we strive for the best teaching and the best kind of facilities to take people into their career goals. Right. So if you're doing sports coaching, you don't want to just sit in a classroom, do you? You want to get out there, you want to experience it. And that's kind of what they do. They have all the latest equipment that you would see in industry. But I think, the biggest thing about Hartpury, though, is the passion, the kind of the excitement that people have about
love towards what they're doing, actually.
Yeah, they love what they do, and they, love the industry they're in. And to be honest, so many students love Hartpury so much that a lot of our alumni have got tattoos of acorns of our brand on them. But it is that thing. They are so passionate about what they do, and that's what we want to bring out Hartpury is if you've got that interest, if you've got that passion, whether it's in horses, whether it's in farming, whether it's in sports, any particular sports, rugby, football, whether it's animals, that's where my passion is. That's, it brings it out in you and kind of captures it and turns that into a career as well.
If I talk about the horse riding part at Hartpury, what kinds of horses do they have, and what is the, how much money is involved? Because I think horses is something that is very, personal to people. In India, I have seen people having horses, one or two, as a part of their, just what do you call, they just love or dreaming of having a horse.
The hobby,
the hobby part, So how is the culture in UK about having horses and having the sports involved in horses? How is it there?
So, to be honest, the UK is probably one of the biggest countries in regards to horses in the equine industry. Okay. I would say a lot of people, not everyone, especially in rural areas, people do have their own horses and have that hobby and passion of having a horse. Okay. So we do have, students who have that. Yes, they are costly.
That's definitely costly.
Probably less than a child, but they are costly. I don't know if they would say that, but but that's one thing good about the equine industry, and if that's where someone wants to go. Yes, it's costly, but people pay a lot of money for services within that industry as well. So it's actually a very affluent market to be into if you kind of got into that industry. Right. But we have, so in regards to Hartpury, our students are everything from people who just have a horse and want to take the horse and study with them. And that's their baby, that's what they caretake, that's their hobby, that's their passion. So they like to go look after their horse, ride it every day. And some of them don't even study our equine studies with bring their horse, but they want their horse with them to study. Okay. And then you got people who are really kind of equine passionate in regards to what career they want to go to. So if they want to go into equine physiotherapy, like human physiotherapy, these horses are can be athletes, essentially if you look at the Olympics, but but it's very physical what they go into, like such as racehorsing Olympics. They need kind of that hands-on physio, and so they're really interested in that, or equine dentistry. Horses like us have teeth, they need those looking after. So those are kind of things we look after and manage with our students. But then also, if you're a high-level rider, we then also provide facilities for that. So we have our Equine Academy. Okay. And in regards to Equine Academy, you have to be selected to be on the academy, and you new horse and rider have to be a very high level. But we have had people come out of our academy, graduate with Hartpury, and they've gone on to the Olympics, they've gone on to compete in the Asian Games. Okay. In the last Asian Games, we had one student who came from Hong Kong who competed. So it's really nice to kind of have that high level of taking it into a career, as in you're a competitor.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where you go. That is your job essentially as a sports person, or to kind of being round the sides of horses, of supporting, coaching, physio, dentistry, and everything else. You can kind of get there.
So we see a lot of women getting into sports. In India also, the culture for women getting into sports has increased. There was a recent movie named as Dangal. So there's this girl, the father trains both the daughters to get into wrestling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's how the culture is being developed in India also to promote women in sports. So how do you, at Hartpury, support students who are women in terms of building them globally into the sports network? What do you guys do to promote sports for women?
So what we do have, in regards to, as I said, I'll talk about earlier about our academies. We have sports academies on site, which is people who are selected, students selected for the academy, and their high level performance in regards to that sport.
Okay.
So like our academies have mixed in men and women in them. Not in all of them, but we have a men's soccer team, a women's soccer team, football team, a men's rugby team, a women's rugby team. We have a women's netball team. So we really try and show that inclusivity in regards to all of our teams and our sports in which we do. But what is exciting about sport is how women have kind of grown in sports and representing their sports a lot more. I think we saw it in regards to the Women's World Cup for football.
Yes.
There's a lot of women going on to there, and we are really trying to drive that forward as well at Hartpury. So our women's rugby team are actually the number one rugby women's team in the UK. Okay. So not just a university in the
internationally.
UK. Yeah, nationally.
Okay.
So we won that this year, which is absolutely fantastic. But we are passionate about kind of driving that forward. Our women's football team we've got multiple academy teams for that, and once again a high number of players. So we really want to kind of drive that in seeing more women in sport. And I think the more you see women in sport, not only it inspires future generations, but also future generations to actually have that confidence to just play it as a hobby or kind of be involved in it. So I think it's really, really important to see. That's what we really want to see moving forward. And what we do, at Hartpury is we have the men's teams, we have the women's teams, we treat them exactly the same as academy athletes. So they will have their own personal training, they'll have their own coaching, have their own physio staff, they have their own nutrition. Right. So it is all adapted for them as an athlete to make sure they achieve the best that they can achieve. And we don't want to make it, this is a men's program and women follow it. We actually adapt it for all sexes to kind of make sure it is right to kind of achieve their goals.
Right. So before doing this podcast, when we were talking about you having dogs, so I know you have 5 dogs.
Yes.
And you're a dog lover as well. So someone who wants to train a dog at home, can they do that?
Oh, absolutely, yes. And that's the best place to do it, really. That's where you start. You're training at home, so I do a lot of dog stuff. I have to admit it. And you can go to training classes and stuff like that, which is absolutely fantastic. And going to seeing a professional is absolutely great in giving you the confidence on how to train your dog, and what to watch out for if you've got any behavioural issues, and how to overcome that. That's absolutely they're great in that professional field. But if you get a puppy, if you rehome a dog, training at home is definitely your essentials, and it's what you really need to do. Whatever you do, you don't just have your dog and you don't train it, because training not only gives you the behaviours you want, it also helps you build that bond with your dog. So you'll get the most out of your dog, you'll understand your dog better by doing that kind of training at home. And definitely what I would say, so top tips when I do my training at home, try and keep it fun and exciting. Okay. Not too fun and exciting. You see, I'm quite high energy, but you need to keep the dog engaged. You don't want to go, stand there and go, sit. Is the dog going to react to that? You have to
make sure that the dog or he or she has to be in terms of related to you, in terms of make it fun and loving for the kid also to learn. I would use
Yeah.
the word kid, in fact, dog. Then so that's how it is.
You want to make it fun. You want to be like, come on, sit, and
Yeah.
make them want to sit, and
Yeah.
give them a reward for that.
Uh-huh.
Or like if your dog walks off and you want them to come to recall,
Yeah.
you understand them and go, come here. They're not going to come anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's not making it fun and exciting. Be like, come on, come here. And then
Yeah.
give them like a big reward for coming to you. So yeah, it's like very much about that bond and that enthusiasm.
Yeah. So I have seen some people, they have a fixed schedule for dogs to take them out for a walk, to give them food at certain times of frames. Yeah. So how do you do that? You have certain time frames, or you just look at the behavior of a dog and do things accordingly?
A bit of a mixture. So, I would say having a dog's a bit like raising a child.
Yeah.
You have your routine, don't you? You wake up. So I wake up in the morning, I walk my dogs before I feed them.
Okay.
So then they got all their energy out in the morning. And you usually don't feed your dog and then walk them because it can create bloat and stomach issues. So you feed them afterwards. And then usually that's them set up for the morning. And then I can go, say if I'm working, then I can focus on my work and not the dogs. So yes, I do have my schedules in regards to that way of, I set myself up for the day, set the dogs up for the day. A schedule, I have 2 dogs under 1 year old, so they have to go out to the toilet every 4 hours. So, you have to make sure you're there. So I'm very yes, there is a schedule in regards to they have to go to the toilet every 4 hours, make sure they have their walk in the morning, their food after, so then, for those reasons, they're tired and they're fed. But then after that, it won't be, 1 o'clock I do this. It's just fluid after that.
Right. I'm sorry, I'm taking you back to that question, building a brand, because there's one question that is coming to my mind. When somebody's starting as a new brand and they want to go international, what all things can help them build a brand internationally rather than being to the country they have grown up? What can they do?
I would say understand that market as well as you possibly can. So,
and how can they understand that market, basically?
Market research would be, looking at the market and seeing what's already out there, seeing what the competitors are. You would look at who your audience are. The audience may not be the same person. If you're targeting, say, 25-year-old women in one country, actually you would find in the other country, your brand might fit, or your product might fit someone else. So how do you kind of tweak it for that market? Because it doesn't always fit the same person. I would speak to industry experts, speak to people in the market who know that industry or have, experience of the industry or experience of the market, and do research with who you think your consumer base are as well.
Okay.
Kind of those are the essential things. And then I think then once you understand who your market are, then you can kind of go, okay, how do I market to them? Whether you think about, picking right influencers for your market, who are they going to be, who their following are, or, then you can kind of go on to that next step of actually doing your marketing. But you have to understand the market and the culture. If there's any cultural nuances, any market nuances, you have to understand before you kind of then step into it.
So the brand color makes a difference or not? Does that makes a difference in the person seeing the brand? Because McDonald's, it's red. For KFC, it's red. And does that makes a difference? Why Facebook is blue? Why McDonald's and Zomato, it's red?
There's a lot of research into that, isn't there? There's, so if you look on, there's stuff such as colour theories. I don't know if you've kind of looked into those, what colour means what, blue means calming, red means high energy. There is that kind of stuff. But then you also have to look at different markets, in Asia, red's a lucky colour. So kind of, does that mean something? But then it's negative if it's black. And it really is dependent. And I do understand there is a bit behind the theory, but I'm not 100% Superdry is orange.
Convinced that it was.
I'm not quite sure what orange means. It makes it stand out, I guess, you know.
So I've seen people, posting that wheel of colors, showing that why this brand is this color, but I don't really relate to it, because once you're a brand, the color you have becomes your identity. That's how it is.
And you already associate the brand with that colour. So then if they change if McDonald's change their logo to yellow.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Which brand is this?
Yeah, or if it started off at yellow, would we be having, would we say, oh, it should be red, or would we go, oh, that's McDonald's?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know, would you? So it's a difficult question.
So we see a lot of people, playing sports. And when I was in my 12th grade, I have this subject called as physical education, which was all about sports education.
Yes.
Yeah. So they taught us about the injuries that can happen during sports, how you can cure it. So what's your mindset about what are the physical injuries that can happen during sports and how people can cure it?
So, to be honest, I think I'm going through that right now.
Yeah.
So I am doing London Marathon in literally about a week and a bit, 11 days.
That's lovely. Full-length marathon.
Yeah, full marathon.
Okay.
Biggest marathon in the UK. So yeah, I'll be doing that. So I'm very excited.
Okay.
But I've got a few injuries, just because the training that I'm doing, because you're doing very long distance, very high impact.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of training up to it. So I've got something called plantar fasciitis, which is like the ball of my foot.
Okay.
And then I've got shin splints along my shin.
Okay.
Beautiful. But yeah, I think physio, it is obviously very important, and having, I think with your body, you need to definitely work with experts and get experts' opinion.
Yeah.
Something may hurt, you think, oh, it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know if it's going to get worse, better, or how that's going to impact. One of my friends who's supposed to be doing London with me, he's been having a bit of pain in his thigh, and it's moved to his glutes, and then it moved back to his thigh again, and now he's got a grade 1 tear.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be doing the London Marathon, and he's been running and training with this injury, and now it's got worse. And they said, if you keep on training at the same level, it's going to be a grade 2.
Right.
That's what they've said to him.
Yeah.
So, injury prevention is key if you want to be into sports, or every day really. If you've got any niggles, I would definitely say speaking to professionals. Yeah. I know kind of bringing this back to work, but that's kind of one of the key things we also focus on with Hartpury, with our sports. Yeah. So we do have physio courses, undergraduate, postgraduate level, where we teach students how to do it. But all of our academy students have physios as well, and they get regular physio sessions. So because they're young, they're like, oh, I hurt my knee, but I'm all right. Yeah. Their physio is like, no, I know you've hurt your knee, you're not doing this training today, you're going to come in me and you're going to see me and we're going to do physio with you. Right. Because, these students and athletes want to become professional athletes. Yeah, yeah. They don't want to be written out the game too early. And if you don't treat it, you don't look after it, you don't do it properly, that's, potential you could come out injured. Yeah. So it's something that, we're very passionate about Hartpury, is making sure you maintain yourself, but it's definitely something I've learned from doing this marathon, that you have to look after yourself, because otherwise you just break yourself more. That reminds me of, this morning I was reading this, Mark Zuckerberg, he launched X, he launched this Threads. And Elon Musk has that X put up. So when the guys launched and they signed up for a fight together. I don't know if you know about this or not. So they are getting into a street fight. So Mark Zuckerberg, he was trying to train himself, and he got this ligament injury. So after 3 months, he's getting back to the training now. Yeah. So I think that's all physio that helped him recover after this. Yeah. I know. Talking about knowing about you more, what's your skincare routine? Skincare routine? Well, I'm definitely in my mid-30s. Okay. You look like, that's why I'm asking you. Thank you. So yeah, definitely I'm feeling that a bit more in regards to skincare. I would definitely say my number one tip is SPF. Okay. The research is out there that sun damage is the biggest aging factor for every skin. You also create stuff such as skin cancer.
Yeah.
So my big thing is I wear SPF, and even I live in the UK.
Yeah.
So let's say majority of the year it's cloudy. You can still get sun damage through clouds.
Okay.
You can still get sun damage when it's raining. So I am SPF through and through every single day, factor 50, wake up, put it on, have a shower, wash my face, and put it on.
Yeah. That's great. And what SPF level do you use in UK? Is it 50 or 30?
It depends. I use 50 personally because I want the most sun protection. 30 is also readily available. In general, face skincare, there's 30s and 50s. To be honest, I think most people in the UK, when it comes to like body SPF, most people probably don't don't put SPF on.
Yeah.
Silly. But like if you're going somewhere, I don't know, hot or it's a hot day, I think people generally go 15 to 30, really, on general skin.
So looking at India, it's a tropical environment. It's a hot climate here.
Yeah.
So everyone is recommended with SPF 50 in India, whether it's body or face. So that's how the dermatologist also recommend in India. So maybe different in UK, and that's how the climate changes affects. Thank you, Sarah, for being here for today's podcast. It was really enriching to know more about how Hartpury is operating the sports programs and how the dogs are being trained and your experience with dogs. And it was lovely. I think anyone who will be watching this podcast will get a lot of information about how to build a brand, how to do the marketing internationally. And I think this is one of the podcasts where I have enjoyed most because some topics related to marketing was that I love about talking about. Yeah. So thank you for coming here, and I just want you to grow and be happy forever after this.